Hello fellow wargamers and welcome to Green Dragon Games. Please take a second to hit the like and subscribe button and enjoy the content. Hello fellow wargamers and welcome to this episode of Warhammer the Old World. So what we're going to do this week is we're going to have a look at the armies in the book, the Forces of Fantasy, and I'm going to recommend which one is the best army to start if you're a newbie. Now I'm going to judge this on a few factors. Factor one, ease of painting the models, because a nice painted army on the table looks good. The next one is cost of the miniatures and the availability. Third up is points cost, so how many miniatures you actually need on the table to make an army. So we'll just go for 1,000 point army. Nice, simple. I know the games are going to be played at 2,000 points, but if you've not played before, 2,000 points could be really daunting. It's an awful lot of miniatures to get. It's an awful lot of miniatures to paint. So we'll look for 1,000 points. On average, most armies 1,000 points. You're looking around about the 50 to 60 miniature mark. Less if you're going for one with a lot of cavalry. It could be down as low as 30 miniatures. So there we go. So that's the criteria. So first up, painting. So let's have a look at all the armies. We've got the Dwarfs, we've got the Empire, we've got the Kingdom of Bretonia, the High Elf, and the Wood Elves. Now, first off, painting wise, Kingdom of Bretonia are a nightmare. Oh, they've got an awful lot of heraldry, which is quite difficult to paint. You can use subdued colours, but if you're going to do that, you might as well go Empire. So Empire are similar to Bretonia. They play different, but they're similar in a sense that painting wise, they have a lot of shields with different sorts of banners on, depending on where they come from. So again, they're quite difficult to paint. Wood Elves, their miniatures have quite a lot of detail on them. So again, they can be quite difficult to paint. And it's the same with High Elves, although High Elves are probably the second easiest to paint. To me, the easiest miniatures to paint are the Dwarfs. Dwarf miniatures are quite small, so they don't take a lot of paint. And they're more often than not moulded with the icon already on the shields and all that, so it's fairly easy to paint. So you can paint the symbol, normally a anvil and a hammer on the shield. You can paint that gold, and then when it's dry, you can go round that with whatever your choice of colour is. I'll put a picture of mine up now. I see mine's a light blue that I've gone round them for. So the easiest ones to paint are the Dwarfs. So next up, we're going to look at availability. So at the moment, the most available miniature is obviously the Bretonians, because GW are selling Bretonians again. So you can actually buy a box set of Bretonians, and I think the box set is £175. It has about 1,250 points of miniatures in the box. So that's the cheapest option. You can get the other miniatures online. Now, Dwarfs, if you're lucky, you might be able to get a Battle of Skull Pass half box, which had a Thane, some Thunderers, some Miners, and some Warriors in the box. But you're looking at about 30 miniatures there. Pay about £60 for that. So they're not the cheapest option. If you're really lucky, you might be able to get them cheap from eBay. But with the release of the Old World, if you look on eBay, the cost of most of the miniatures has gone through the roof. I mean, I got a dwarf unit probably 12 months ago, and I think I paid $19.99 for it plus postage, and I've gone on to see if I can about getting another dwarf unit so I can have extra dwarfs in my army. And you're looking at buy it now prices for £60 for just for 20 figures. So the price on eBay for most of the armies now has gone through the roof. As I say, the price wise, the easiest option is to get the Britannia box. The Britannia box is not complete because you've got no magic option in there, so you will have to get a lady as well. But again, GW are selling them, so it's not a problem. So for a price wise, and you're looking at Britannia is probably your best bet. The others then fall in a sliding scale of what's available on eBay and what the popularity is on eBay. Now, probably the cheapest ones on eBay are Empire and Dwarfs because they're the most popular. Elves and certainly Wood Elves are quite expensive second-hand. So it's difficult to go that way. And then the last one is actually building your army. How many miniatures do you need? Now again, if you get the Britannia box, you've got your miniatures there, and as I say, it's 1,000 points in that box. The heraldry can be a problem if you're new to the playing a game, and it can be a bit daunting, but you can always just paint them all one colour. You don't have to paint all the fancy heraldry. You can have one unit of knights and you can all be in white or you can all be in black. Just have a look for inspiration if you go online and have a look at some of the units that were in the Crusades. You'll see that most of them, a lord would have his army, all his knights as such, all wearing the same colour, so he knew who all his men were. You'll have seen pictures on there for the Knights Templar and things like that, where you all have all in white with red crosses, or all in blue with gold crosses, or even all in black with white crosses. So you can always follow that sort of paint scheme. You don't have to do the intricate heraldry that is on the box art. Remember, they're your miniatures, you can paint them how you like. As to the other armies, Dwarfs are probably one of your units that you're going to have a higher number of figures. And the reason why I'm saying that is they don't have cavalry. Dwarfs are a gunline army. So if you like to sit there, you're not interested in moving your army much, you can have your cannons, you can have your thunderers, you can have your organ guns sitting there shooting away as your opponent comes across, and you use your warriors to screen your ballistic units. Now if you put the ballistic units on a hill, you can actually fire over your warriors, so they're going to be able to keep shooting at units as they're coming at you. If that type of play appeals to you, then probably Dwarfs is something that you will like. I'd say they are a pretty static unit. They only have a movement of 3, so they don't move very fast. So chances are you're not going to get very far across the table before you're charged by your opponent. Britannia are quite mobile. You can have cavalry knights, which are quite expensive. As I say, I think the dearest figure for the Dwarfs is about 17 points a miniature, whereas if you're looking at cavalry mounted, you're looking at 27, 37 points for each mounted figure. So mounted figures, again, you can paint them, like I said with the Britannias, you can paint them all up, paint them all white, put your own little emblem on them. You don't have to paint all this fancy heraldry and give each horse and each rider their own unique paint scheme. You can paint them all as one because they're all part of one sort of retinue for a single army. And again, if you're taking knights or mounted units, they are more expensive, so it means your model count will be less, which means less effort painting, and so that's an option. Again, there's only really the dwarfs that don't have the option for mounted units. The elves, and I believe the wood elves do as well. So, but with the elves and the wood elves, finding mounted units available on eBay is very rare, and they are so expensive it's ridiculous. So sort of the cost of elves and wood elves sort of puts me off them as a good first army. I mean, if you're lucky enough to get an army on eBay, then go for it. The high elves are really good. They've got good movement, they've got good weapon skill, they've got good ballistic skill. It's just the cost of them, I think, is going to be prohibitive until Games Workshop actually releases their own miniatures, or I should say re-releases the miniatures. So there we go. So I've gone to painting. I think the easiest ones to paint are the dwarfs. Although they are not very mobile, they're definitely easiest to paint. They're a very small figure, and the shields are embossed with the emblems, so it makes them quite easy to paint. The availability is the Britannia, because without a shadow of a doubt they are the easiest to get, because as Games Workshop has re-released them. So if you can get all of them, the box set's out there, £175, and you'd be pushed to get the same number of points of any of the other fantasy armies for that amount of money. I remember if you go to third parties or your friendly local gaming store, a lot of them will give you 10, 15, sometimes 20% off that price. So you could get the 1250 points Bretonian army for £140 or less. And at that price, it's a bargain. And you'll also get a rule book in there as well. So for cost, Britannia is the one that's there for you. And then the last up is the size of your army. Now, size of your army comes down to, as a new player, you want less miniatures to assemble and less miniatures to paint. There's a caveat to that, because the new Bretonians, although they are readily available, they are miniatures that you have to assemble and then paint to play. And the same for Empire. If you get Empire, you have to assemble them. And that's the same with all of them, except for one, and that's the dwarfs. The dwarfs were made a long time ago, and most of the dwarfs, a lot of them are metal, or you can get plastics, and the plastics are single castings. So dwarfs, if you get them, I've got none or very little assembly. You literally stick them onto a 25mm base, paint them, and away to go. So inclusion, for me, the best army for ease of paint and availability and ease of assembly and building your army are the dwarfs. I am slightly biased because I have dwarfs. I have Empire as well, and I have Chaos, and I have Orcs and Goblins. But going through the book and having a look online at the prices and having a look at the miniatures and comparing like for like units, the best army I think to start with is going to be dwarfs. Now, I'm saying that now, but if you're watching this video in 6 months' time, then I may be wrong, because in 6 months' time, all the dwarfs on eBay might have gone. And when you try to buy dwarfs off eBay, they're a ridiculous amount of money. As I say, a unit of 20 dwarf warriors, last year I paid $19.99 plus postage on a buy it now. Now you go online and have a look on eBay and you're lucky to find them for less than £40 as a buy it now on eBay with plus postage. So the cost has doubled in 12 months, and in 12 months time it'll probably double again. So at this moment in time, the best army to start is dwarfs, because you can get them models relatively easy from eBay. I say you might be able to get somebody selling the dwarf half of the Battle of Skull Pass, and that's a good start. That's what I started with, and then you just need the Lord and some other bits and pieces, and away you go. There you go, guys. I hope you enjoyed that video. I did waffle on a bit, and I hope you understood where I was coming from and my choice as dwarfs being the best army to start with. One thing I didn't mention, which I forgot to mention, is because dwarfs have no cavalry, you also have less rules to learn. Although you have the runes, which is their sort of form of magic, when you come to do movement, all your figures will move the same. You're all on foot. You've got no cavalry, so you've not got extra rules for cavalry to learn. Okay, guys, thanks very much for listening. See you all next time.